Hi, it's Charlie here and welcome to the Members Club. I am so excited to be joined by Sophie Slater and Susanna Wen from Birdsong. Birdsong is an ethical fashion company that was founded in 2014 with a pretty cool ethos of no sweatshops and no Photoshop, which I can't wait to hear more about. And they are really proof that you can work in an ethical, thoughtful way and still create a successful brand. So I'm really delighted that Sophie, who is one of Birdsong's co-founders, and Susanna, their designer, are both here today. And we really couldn't be in better company to pick the brains of an amazing ethical fashion brand. So to kick us off, for the people listening who haven't heard of you, could you tell us a little bit about Birdsong and who you are?
Yeah, sure. So we started in 2014, as you said, and we're an ethical clothing company, but with a little bit of a difference. So myself and my co-founder Sarah started off our careers in the social sector, and we noticed that a lot of women from migrant and slightly older backgrounds had fantastic making skills that weren't being sort of like utilised, or they had a lot of barriers to getting into the fashion industry. So we decided to create a mini manufacturing sort of process with these groups. A lot of them were already making stuff, but not necessarily selling it online, to create revenue for their women's organisations that they support. And then we started doing all the digital marketing, branding, PR and photography so that they could concentrate on their sort of social mission. So we work with around 8 women's organisations in the UK, including a lot in East London, mostly with migrant women's groups. We've got 2 groups of elderly knitting ladies who knit an Age Concern Centre and a knit and natter group. And we have a group in West London who make jewellery, and they support women recovering from eating disorder and addictions. And then we also sort of curate a lot of items from women's organisations around the world. So we've got some really gorgeous gold and silver jewellery made by survivors of human trafficking. We have traditional Palestinian embroidery and these beautiful jackets made in our women's co-op in Malawi, amongst loads of others. So we kind of like work with different women's groups with a social mission and really high skill. But we also really believe in empowering women in every step of the way. So whether that's our customers, for example, we kind of designing more with different women's bodies in mind, putting pockets into things because we believe pockets are a feminist issue, and also not airbrushing or digitally altering any of our commercial shots or anything we put out, and using sort of, I don't know, like friends and street cast people and activists as models, and giving a little bit more background and insight into them to sort of counter objectification of the fashion industry. So that's us.
Wow, it's just absolutely incredible what you guys have built, and it's such an amazing, I'm so pleased we get this opportunity to talk to you. And you haven't even mentioned the fact that you also use ethical fabrics. So that's another thing that you're doing. So I mean, and can you talk to us a bit about that as well? You know, what kind of criteria are you looking for when you choose your fabrics, things like that?
Yeah, I think it's when I joined Birdsong maybe nearly 6 months ago, I came more from like a sustainability background, and their priority, although they care about the environment, obviously, their priority is like the women that like we work with, paying them a fair wage and supporting them. But at the moment we're just trying to combine the two, whether that's with, I'm just meeting loads of people along the way, loads of like organic textile suppliers, and also we have like a relationship with trade, so we get some off-cut fabric from them, which is fantastic. So we are trying to do both if we can.
Yeah, definitely. We were speaking to a guy called Kishore yesterday, who we've worked with before, who supplies amazing like hand woven khadi, organic and like sort of woven cottons, straight from women's cooperatives in India. So that's really a way
inspiring.
Of tying in the mission to right down to the fabric. And I think that's something that we'd really like to do wherever possible. So
yeah, it's really, really admirable, and it's just completely fantastic. I'm kind of like dying to know what that light bulb moment was for you. You know, you kind of mentioned it, but taking that step, it's such a giant leap from having this quite cool idea to deciding, actually, we're going to start a fashion label. So was it like you were creative and you wanted to start a label, and this kind of tied in with your values, or did it grow from, I've seen this amazing thing and let's do something about it?
Yeah, I think like for me personally, I'd always kind of secretly wanted to work in fashion. I kind of had a totally unrelated career first in activism and women's services in the social sector. So obviously that gave like an amazing sort of springboard into creating a label, because these women were making amazing things and I don't have those making talents. That's what Susanna's for. But I'd worked as a shop assistant at American Apparel, the ethical sort of brand, which isn't so ethical to its women workers and models. And the CEO had like a series of scandals. I was a teenage shop assistant there, and they were manufacturing ethically and vertically in LA. I learned quite a lot about the sort of premise of the business and how they operated. But they had scandal after scandal about the way they were objectifying and sexualizing their models and not treating their staff right in their shops. So that gave me a massive insight, and I kind of wanted to create something as a reaction to that. At the same time, I was meeting loads of like feminist creatives, like photographers and writers, who were kind of sick of the industry and wanted to do things in a more ethical, more empowering way. So that was an amazing opportunity to sort of work with them. And obviously meeting my co-founder, she worked at the Elderly People's Day Centre where they had the knitting group. And also having worked a little bit in London as a model when I was a teenager, and sort of seeing how toxic that side of the industry can be as well in terms of body image. So there's a lot of kind of light bulb moments along the way, and then meeting the right people at the right time and having the opportunity on like a postgrad course to make a project with my co-founder. And then meeting Susanna, it kind of all came together. But we're still getting there. We're still, I don't know, improving every day and like planning towards the future. It doesn't ever feel like we're there. Obviously, I don't think you ever feel like that when it's your own business.
No,
but
constantly transforming.
But I think it's a really good timing for us. When we sort of came up with the idea, it morphed a little bit and changed along the way, but it was perfect timing in terms of feminism being in public discourse more, sustainability and ethical fashion being in discourse more, and people wanting more from ethical fashion. Like 5 years ago, it was really hard to make a choice about style or, I don't know, being sustainable in terms of price point, unless you were going a second hand. Whereas now I see like amazing ethical brands popping up every day with really great aesthetics to match and really great branding to match as well. So
yeah, that's really amazing, and it's such a it's so interesting to hear you talking about all of these amazing opportunities that just kind of were coming your way, but the fact that you grabbed them is kind of what it takes for an entrepreneur. And I think that's kind of something that runs through a lot of entrepreneurs kind of behavior, is that they just grab all of these incredible people that they're meeting and these opportunities that come around. What I really love as well is that I guess maybe from your activism is that you have this kind of belief, or you want to change the way that people shop as well, which is something I'm really interested in. So instead of spending frivolously on lots of things, it's about kind of saving up for that one really beautiful thing that you absolutely love, and it's a bit more pricey, but it's, you know, been made in a beautiful way as well. It's such an amazing kind of ethos. How do you go about educating your customer, or just people in general, about and kind of encouraging them to shop like that?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's really funny because we struggle with this thing of like, we're a fashion brand and we need to like keep going. We need to sell stuff, but we would never want to like create a need or like force our stuff upon people if they don't need it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the main thing is making something really beautiful that lasts and that has a bit of sense of humour to it, or, you know, fulfills a need, like pockets, for example, which I think like Sally Hughes wrote this really amazing article a few months ago for The Pool about how she can't find anything on the high street that's not got the shoulders lopped off, or it's cropped, or it's not got pockets, so it doesn't fit properly. And I think there is still a need for decent, well-made women's clothes that fit well and make you feel good, and that will last. So I think it's about not just fulfilling, there is a need, people want to shop more ethically, but it's also about the items themselves. Like, I think there is that need, and unfortunately the cheaper you buy, the quicker things fall apart. So I think it's about encouraging people to invest in that quality. And I don't know, we always, when we started, always wanted to kind of put a positive spin on things. Like, we don't want to shame people or guilt them into their like buying habits, and obviously like so many people aren't being paid enough, and you know, it's a luxury of time and investment and thought and money to buy that one item and save up for it. But for those that can, we want to be the best option.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it, really.
And we're not too trend led, so we're not like creating stuff that's necessarily like a fad.
No,
we try to be a bit more just like
kind of more value driven as well. Like we want to see women of all ages, all sizes in our clothing. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Tell me, sorry, the thing of pockets. what is this thing about pockets?
yeah, we just like noticed that like so many women's clothes don't have pockets, which is really frustrating, like especially dresses. So our like kind of dress pattern that we've developed has pockets, which but there's like loads of women we talk to, we mention it and they're like, oh my god, yeah, it's so annoying, you have to bring a handbag, and then like your partner or your male friend like asks to put stuff in there too, and it's like, I don't know, it's cumbersome, it makes you feel like, I don't know, can't go hands free. So yeah.
Okay, I love that as well, because you're obviously listening to your customers, which is just like so important. So I also noticed, and anyone else who has checked out your website will recognize Susanna. So because you are featured in lots of, if not all of the photos of your collection, which I absolutely love. So how has that all come about, and your decision to use real models? It's sort of, just tell me a little bit about it and how people responded to that.
Yeah, we always use like, I guess, like real models. I've got a few friends from the fashion industry or like activism. The first model we ever used was my friend Daniela, who's an old friend from American Apparel, and obviously had the exact same insights that I did about what was wrong with that brand, and was really into feminism and wanted to empower women. Had also been a model, had also been dropped from an agency for having hips that were too big. So it was really on the same page about fashion. So we called her up and we're like, can you do a shoot? It was our first shoot. It was in a park. We just grabbed the clothes like 2 hours earlier off a market stall that we were doing. And she looked amazing. And like, I think we want to use people to model for us who really understand our values and the brand. And I think it comes across in the pictures. They feel more comfortable. We always make sure we've got like snacks and music and no sort of like body shamey vibes. People come as they're most comfortable. For Susanna, like obviously I think it's great to like be like, this is our new designer, like she's great, more about her. We did have a model who had hives on the day, and like all of Susanna's samples obviously fit and she looks amazing in them. And yeah, since then we've been like, why not? Why not use Susanna? So, but yeah, no, obviously.
Well, I think it's absolutely genius, and I love it. And maybe all of you could do it as well. I don't know. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the about the operation of the business now. So you kind of stumbled across a lot of your makers. How have you gone about finding the rest of them?
Yeah, sure. So with the international ones, obviously because we're so small, we can't really afford to travel out. We did have another co-founder who went on to do a law degree. She was Palestinian and grew up in Israel. So she introduced us and actually went out into the Hebron Hills to find 2 neighbours who we work with. Other projects abroad, we always make sure we know the person who's worked on the project. So Suzanne Bagel, who's like a sort of big advocate of social enterprise, she introduced us to Releve, who do our gold and silver jewellery. We happened to stumble across the artist who does the Yit Win Yan project in our friend Alex Noble's studio, because we share studio space. So it's all really kind of people introducing us along the way, I guess, like through word of mouth. I
feel like sometimes the more people you meet, the more things you get recommended.
Yeah,
and
definitely. It's growing really organically, our sort of supplier base. When we started, we did do some research as to what women's organisations were sort of making in London, and sometimes a quick internet search can throw up a few groups, but also a lot of offline. So in that case, we, from our work in the social sector, know a few community leaders, and they introduced us to groups like Mahila, who were hand painting cards, and then we got them onto hand painting clothes. They're amazing. They're like a group of really talented dinner ladies in Bow who hand paint there in a local school. So, and yeah, there were definitely some massive challenges along the way. So with international organisations, we always make sure that we know someone who's been there physically and sort of worked with the project, because we haven't got the capacity to go out and visit ourselves. And then with smaller organisations, obviously we are really in regular contact with them. We know the names of all the women working there, have really good relationships. We got put in contact with a group of painting dinner ladies in Bow, 2 years ago now, by a community leader. And they were hand painting on cards. So which obviously aren't very profitable for the amount of labour that goes into them. So we encouraged them to start painting on clothes. We did a workshop with London Fashion Week designer Cleo Pepiat, who did some sort of trend research using Pinterest, which is amazing if English is a second language, because it's super visual. And that worked really well. And now their t-shirts are bestsellers, which is like really satisfying. But yeah, there's definitely been some real problems along the way. Like, we started working, one of the first groups we ever worked with were Heba Women's Project on Brick Lane, who are really well known actually in sort of making circles. They're super talented, been around for 30 years, provided like an informal safe space for women sort of escaping domestic violence and isolation. They did English classes, IT classes, had a massive, huge crash. And then when they'd never sold online before, and they were selling at Spitalfields Market, the demographic was really changing. And then not long after we sort of started working with them, their landlord died, and their kids inherited the building, tripled the rent overnight, and gave them 10 days to move out the crash. And then they lost their local authority funding. So they were really, really close to shutting down, and they're operating on a much smaller scale now, but hopefully a little bit more robust. But yeah, we really had to like pull out the stops. We did like a couple of big fundraising events for them, and just been working more closely. And sort of the decision to design own label, and was sort of hired as a designer. Yeah, and to develop that was quite a big decision, but one that we felt like we needed to take after seeing these charities really struggling, because they're doing their financial management, they're supporting women, and they're making. Sometimes they haven't really got the headspace to do the trend research and market research and all that kind of thing as well. So that's kind of what we want to do. Yeah, definitely.
Gosh, it sounds like you must be so busy, trying to get a brand off the ground, and at the same time you're doing all this incredible stuff with other, fundraising events, and you've got your pop-up shops that you do, and it must be madness. And I know you began as a partnership, so your co-founder, Sophie, and how does that work? So how do you split all the roles?
Yeah,
if at all.
So we started, there was 3 of us actually, and then our other co-founder went on to do a law degree about 2 years ago, so she's with us for the very first beginning bit. But at the first instance, because we were both so young, me and Sarah were like 23 and 24 when we started it, and had worked a little bit here and there, doing kind of different things, but didn't have like established careers behind us or anything. We were both like humanities grads. It took a little while to figure it out. Like, there were definitely quite a lot of hiccups. But yeah, I love writing and chatting, and like chat for England. So gravitated naturally towards the marketing and PR role. And Sarah's really great at maths, and I fortunately am terrible at maths. So that was a natural decision that Sarah would do all the sort of finance and strategic kind of planning and stuff. So she's really good at doing all the projections and smoothing investors and being the sort of professional front, and I'm the sort of gobby approachable front. So.
Fantastic. And so you said that you expanded the team 6 months ago, and how did you come to make that decision?
Yeah, well, actually, Susanna came to us, which was amazing.
I've always wanted to work in ethical fashion, and I did my final collection at uni. It was all organic and biodegradable, and loved it. And then I went to work in America for a year for fast fashion, but I knew it'd be a good experience for me, and it was kind of invaluable, so I'd never regret that. And then I went to work for People Tree for about 6 months and did some freelance work for them. And obviously they're just pioneers in ethical fashion, so that was great. Working on small scale, really closely with your producers, and they're the priority. So that's just dream job really. And I knew of Birdsong, and I just reached out to them, and it was perfect timing.
That's really amazing. Yeah, gosh, it just goes to show, like, for anybody looking for a job with their dream company, just just go for it. um, so let's talk a bit about, go right back to the beginning with the business. Did you start with a business plan, or, I mean, how did it work?
Yeah, so me and Sarah were on this postgrad called Year Here, which is a sort of alternative to a master's in social innovation. It's not accredited, there's not a huge amount of written work, but it's really experiential. So Sarah was working at an active age centre for 6 months full time, and I was doing sort of women's strategy at a homeless hostel in Croydon. And then we had sort of 6 weeks to come up with some insights from what we've been doing in those areas, and just kind of like build like an informal project basically. But we did have like one-off sessions on business plans, sort of like really rudimentary stuff about like social media, which came more naturally to me. So we kind of like sort of had a plan. We were very like much in the world of social enterprise rather than like commercial business. So we're thinking about like, you know, impact theory, but we knew it had to be sustainable. We knew it had to have legs, and that's kind of what stops us from being a charity. Because if these charities are, you know, really suffering and struggling to get grants, then we don't want to be competing in the same arena. So yeah, we had a little bit of a business plan, and then it was really lucky. Straight after we finished the programme, we approached Bethnal Green Ventures, who are a tech for social good accelerator, based now in East London, and they really liked our idea. Hadn't really done anything with fashion. Apparently we counted as tech because we work online. So they gave us some investment, and we were put on pretty rigorous programme for 3 months, sorry. Where they kind of gave us workshops in everything. I mean, I was really naive about business. I was like, what is a share? What is a shareholder's contract? I don't understand what a share is, like metaphysically or like literally or in any way. Like, but they sat us down and really gave us sort of an education. And we're in a cohort of like 10 other startups, and some of them are way more ahead of us. So we just learned a huge amount. But it felt like we were on a really, really steep learning curve for the first year at least. And then after that, we kind of got a little bit more into the groove, built for another year, and then sort of did another fundraising round, a crowdfunder, this time last year exactly, actually. And then it feels like things have been moving a bit more since then. But it's definitely taken a lot of learning behind the scenes the past 3 years. So, yeah.
Okay, wow. So tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter. Was that something you'd heard about before, and was it different to how you expected it was going to be?
Yeah, so it was a bit scary. So it was an investment sort of, it's called Crowdcube, and it's sort of, you are selling sort of tiny pieces of your company to the general public, which sounds terrifying, but I really love the idea actually, because it means that all of our models are invested. Anyone could have a bit from a tenner. You know, we'll have like, some of the old ladies have invested, some of the dinner ladies, like everyone who's part of the Birdsong family had a chance to kind of like own it and give a tenner to keep us going, which was amazing and help us grow. But yeah, we were like approaching traditional sort of investment, and it's a notoriously male dominated world, and I think only 9% of venture capital goes to female founded companies. And we were actually told by 1 or 2 investors, they're not going to take you seriously because you're a woman. Yeah.
And as that's one of the foundations of your business is empowering women. My God.
Yeah. It's just a very old-fashioned kind of like, it's very intimidating, especially, I don't know, it's a very intimidating world that like we weren't a part of at all. That we did get sort of insights and avenues into. We like tried really hard, but in the end, and I think, you know, we're definitely learning and we can get there, and there are more investors out there now who want to support women's organisations and just want to support a good deep business plan, because we've got a really good proposition. But yeah, we met with Crowdcube and we saw the statistic that 90% of women founders succeed on their fundraising platform, which looked pretty amazing. And they were really good actually at helping us prepare everything. And it was basically like a massive marketing campaign. So we had to do a video. I think we worked for like 35 days straight, just promoting, putting press releases out, doing talks. I think I did like 5 talks in a week, doing social media, sending emails. yeah, just that for a month solid basically. We were really lucky. We had some investment already lined up that went in, and we actually met our target in 3 weeks, which was amazing, and then overfunded. So yeah.
Oh my goodness, amazing.
Really kind, amazing people who believed in us, helped us out. So yeah, it was great.
That's so fantastic. And anything you would have done differently looking back at it?
Probably not.
Oh wow, yeah, well, it sounds like you pretty much did everything right, so I'm not surprised. Okay, so you got this amazing business model and you've got the funding, so I guess the next bit is getting sales and finding your customers and really pleasing them. So did you have an idea of who you wanted to sell to from the beginning, or has it changed a bit now, and how do you find them?
Definitely. I think in the beginning it was a lot younger. It was more like what I wanted to see and what I wanted to buy as like a 23-year-old, and that's definitely changed. Like my tastes have become a lot more sophisticated as well, which I'm glad about. So I think we're always aiming towards someone a little bit, it doesn't even necessarily older, because we kind of do it based on values rather than demographic. But yeah, I think you've got a really good idea of.
Yeah, we just we held a few interviews with some of our best customers, and just to find out more about them, which has led all of my designing so far, because it's just like invaluable,
so rich
information. Yeah, these people are really opinionated about their wardrobes and like what they want, and it's
and they're really cool and interesting as well.
Exactly.
So we've like taken a lot of feedback on board for them, and their perception of us like helps shape it as well, which is really cool. So that's why doing the pop-up shops is so fun, because you get to just chat to customers,
first-hand experience
all day, every day for a week, and it's so valuable to be able to do that as a co-founder, definitely, or a designer.
That's really amazing. And so when you say interview them, do you just on the phone or take them for coffee, or how does
coffee? And
that's so fantastic.
And actually
go ahead, sorry.
This house, and she walked me through her whole wardrobe, which is fabulous.
That's incredible. It's so valuable, and it must be kind of cool as well. Actually, if one of your favorite brands calls you and says, "Actually, I'd love to kind of take you for a coffee and treat you like a VIP for a little bit and chat to you." That's amazing. So, what do you do to get in front of these people?
I think we spend very little on marketing actually, which is about to change, because we're going to sort of do some experiments and spend some money here and there and see what works. But a lot of it's word of mouth. We've really got really good networks from Bethnal Green Ventures, from Year Here, from sort of like all the women in business and photographers and everything we've kind of like met. We always try and like garnish those relationships. And then I think PR's done really well for us. So the stories got picked up by quite a few magazines and stuff, so that really helps. And social media we're really active on. But yeah, we're trying every day, getting the word out. Definitely want to be.
That's fantastic. So what's next for you guys? What's coming up?
So much.
So since I joined, I've been doing like some designing just with our reclaimed fabrics that we've had, but we are launching our first like proper cohesive like collection. It's going to be around 25 pieces, with embroidery, a little bit of tailoring, and we're also buying wholesale from brands that we love, like Fashionable in America, and going to be releasing all those products, and they're all going to make sense of the picture, and it's going to be
the products are
quite
so
exciting.
beautiful, so excited. We've got gorgeous boots, jeans, bags, kind of like head to toe Birdsong looks now, which feels really exciting. We're going to do another pop-up at Christmas. We'll also be doing a pop-up with a fellow ethical brand, Know The Origin, in December as well. We're going to be going to, I think we're doing Warsaw, Cologne and Berlin in about a month's time for different pop-up shops.
Mad.
We'll be releasing a second edition of the Birdsong zine. We've launched the Birdsong Club, which is for super fans if they want to give us more insights into the clothes and products, which is a way of sort of keeping our best customers sort of in touch. And yeah, we've got loads planned, like more photo shoots, more people to work with. So yeah, it's a really exciting quarter for us, and like beyond as well. So
Wow, it's so inspiring. It's really, really so inspiring. And I love that you guys have built such an amazingly ethical and responsible, socially aware, empowering business. It's kind of like the dream. So is there any advice you'd give to anybody else who really wants to build a brand around their ethos and their values?
I think just be idealistic and go for it. I think actually being idealistic really helps sometimes because you're not aware of how hard it'll be. You're already invested. So just go for it. Almost that naivety kind of helps.
I love joining the team, working with Sarah and Sophie. They tackle every problem as it arises, and they just, they're not cynical yet. They've still got less. We'll do it. We'll fix it. It's fine. Which is really great.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. So, to wrap up, any kind of final words of wisdom to ethical brands out there?
I think just be more idealistic and don't think that you have to like squish your values at all to sort of fit in with the mainstream. Like, I think when we first started, people were like, oh, you can't have ethical clothes and help women's organizations and have unconventional looking models. Like, there's too much going on. Like, if you wanted to really help women's organizations, you put all the clothes on like really skinny, stick thin white girls, because that's what people want and that's what will sell more. But we've seen that that's not the case, and that's going to be pretty out of date. Well, it's pretty out of date anyway. So I think like just your instinct. And if you are your own customer as well, then you've really got really good insight. So that helps.
Yeah, I read a book recently, and it's about being an entrepreneur, and like no entrepreneur creates something that's like already been done, if that makes sense. You shouldn't be afraid to just try something completely outrageously new that doesn't exist yet, because it will once you've done it.
Yeah, that is just so fantastic, and it's been really, really inspiring, and I know all of the members are just gonna feel completely uplifted and just raring to go. And I mean, I know I do anyway. So thank you so much, both of you, for your time. It's just been amazing.